So we're going to have a look at this equation here, which tells us to consider the linear function, then it asks us the range of that function. Safe way to do that is to define it, graph it, or even just graph it. So let's have a look at that. 6x minus 1. So we're saying 6x minus 1. We're looking at that, but we'll graph it over that domain. So we'll have a look at the domain, which goes from -1 to 3. So given -1 is less than x because it's not inclusive, and we're going out to, what are we going to? We're going to 3. So there we've graphed it. So menu, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to just move this around. So we're looking for our range. So minimum, analyze graph, we're going to go for a minimum, and here, going from -1 to -7, to a maximum, 3 and 17. So -7 and 17 is our range. It only happens once, and it's that one there. So -7 and 17, that's because of the range we've been given. Question 9, or the next question asks us about the relation over here. Is it 1 to 1, 1 to many, many to 1, many to many, or many to 1, or none of the above? It's not going to be a 1 to 1. That would be a linear graph. So if it was a linear graph and we could draw a horizontal line across, one x value corresponds to one y value. It's not a 1 to many, it's a many to 1. We can see that because we have many x values corresponding to y values, one y value. If we take y equals 0, the x-axis, then we have 3 intercepts. We have many x values to this one y value, and that's why we'd say that it's many to 1. Next question along. Consider the circle. You've got a circle that goes from 0 to 4, so our diameter is 4, that means our radius is 2. And what we've done is we have a center at 2 and 0. So that tells us that because of the fact that it's a 2, we are saying x minus 2. So if it was over the other side, where it's -2, we'd be doing x plus 2. Because it's over this side, it's x minus 2. So x minus 2 all squared, x minus 2 all squared. It's going to be one of those two responses. Now, the radius is 2. But when we write our equation or our relation, we write it as being, oops, not that one. We write our relation as being x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So that's what we've got there. So for this one, we've got a radius of 2. 2 squared is 4. So we end up with this answer here. X squared, x minus 2 all squared equals 4. Oh, sorry, plus y squared equals 4. So our answer, that one ends up being D. Last one that we'll have a look at. We've got our responses here. We're coming through at, sorry, not our responses, we've got our responses here. We're going to find the equation to this parabola. We're coming through at -1 and 2. So we're going to have a +1 minus 2. So +1 minus 2, +1 minus 2, +1 minus 2. So that's what we've got there. Then we're going this way. So it's a negative. So it's +1 minus 2, +1 minus 2. So it's one of either D or E. So it's one of those two right there. Now we are intersecting here at 4. So what we do is we substitute x equals 0 to see what we end up with. If we put a 0 here and a 0 here, we will end up with 2. We put a 0 here and a 0 here, we end up with 4. So it ends up being E.